were hitting hard too, man.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Broaden the areas of participation for women.
That sounds very stylish.
What is my problem?
What do you think?
Beat sitting home watching television?
Hello. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is a very special occasion. I have a huge guest on. I've had some huge guests on before, but this one is very special, near and dear to my heart, the Frog Father himself. Before we go ahead and bring him in, I had a little thing here that somebody posted, and I think it's appropriate as like an intro. It's a little long, not like the Aaron Lopresti intro on Ethan's show, but let's go ahead and give this a little.
The Muppets proudly present.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne the bathtub. I'm drowning. Ah!
That is without a doubt the worst knock-knock joke I ever heard. It could only be my old friend, Fazzino Bezzini.
Ah, in the fur!
So, tell me, old friend, what brings you here to see me?
I have come to ask a favor, Frog Father. There are two men. These two men here, they torment me. They drive me from my place of business. They have killed my jokes, murdered my punchlines, and made it so I cannot find work. I must have justice.
I know these two men. They are ruthless. But do not worry, Fazzino. I will take care of this problem immediately.
Well, it had pies
and frogs. I love
and frogs. Yeah. So
love
welcome. Yeah. Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you so much for joining me. I know your schedule is a bit tight, but I appreciate every moment that I get to spend and interview you. So you have a lot going on right now, kind of a lot of controversy and everything. Got a trash cast coming on after this, so everyone please go over to Ethan's channel after this concludes for another wonderful episode of the trash cast. I have been enjoying those a lot.
It's junk food. It's garbage. It's terrible. How dare you?
I mean, it is junk food, but I mean, that's, you know, we have the stuff that sustains us, but then we have the stuff that entertains us and kind of keeps us going.
I think everybody loves trash cast, and I think that they don't like themselves for loving trash cast, and I don't blame them. It is garbage. It is gossip. It is sometimes infighting. It is all of those things, but it's also really fun to listen to. And I listen to it after I'm done with it. I'll wake up the next morning and just listen to it. I'm like, I can't stop listening to me.
Well, I mean, you are the sun, right? So everything kind of has to revolve around you. So nothing wrong with listening to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to listen to yourself anyway as a broadcaster, just to go, I'm going to stop doing that. That idiotic giggle that I do, I'm going to stop doing that. That doesn't sound good.
No.
But this does, you know, it's like, and you pick yourself apart and just kind of, you get better, I think, you know, at talking, doing radio. So I do listen to myself for that reason. And also look at my books far too closely with a magnifying glass.
I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, for those who might not be aware, you are the creator of Cyberfrog, and you first came up with Cyberfrog back in the mid 90s as a teenager, and then into your early 20s. And he had kind of like that grunge 90s angst to him. Lo and behold, you had a long career with DC Comics, producing a lot of great stuff. Bringing back Flash and Green Lantern. But then you had a chance, kind of not by your choice, but you had a chance to go ahead and go off on your own and do your own thing. And we get Cyberfrog kind of like the next generation. You talk about kind of critiquing yourself. is it hard to go back and look at the old 90s stuff and
Yeah, I don't look at it at all. And that, listen, when I launched Cyberfrog Blood Honey, I said, look, I did it. There was this book in the 90s and I want to bring it back. These are my baby books. These are the books that I did when I was learning how to draw comics. And I really had no idea what I was doing. It was just kind of a train of thought. And I was drawing the best that I could, which wasn't very well. And I said, don't look at those. Don't bother looking at any of that. We're going to move forward. And the problem was people were very curious and they wanted to look for those books. And those books were very expensive and hard to find. So they asked me to reprint them. And I did something called, we compiled everything from the 90s. I think we did a good job and called it Cyberfrog, warts and all, the complete 90s. We're sold out of it now. Most people seem to they're reading that and they're just kind of like, wow, I really like this an awful lot. And that's humbling and interesting to me because I can't bear to look at it. I really can't. It's like looking at your high school prom photos.
Oh,
It's like it's a little embarrassing. But people, like I said, people are enjoying it, and that's good. That's really, really cool. I appreciate it.
yeah, I picked up warts and all. I got the kind of the ultimate package where you got the hardcover and everything. I loved it, and there's just something, I guess, because I grew up during the 80s and 90s, that I really kind of get that style, that humor, the edginess. And I know you said you're kind of acting like the old Cyberfrog didn't exist, or that kind of iteration of them. But is there any way that we could ever go back to that? I don't know, either maybe through stories that Lily tells, or maybe Heather Swain had like a little book and somehow we could incorporate more old 90s Cyberfrog into the new world?
Well, I mean, Cyberfrog goes back in Cyberfrog 3. There's a scene where, we go back to the 90s just to see, what it was all about. I think it's important as a storyteller, now that everything's gone, it's like a Salamandroid and, Chelsin and everybody's kind of apart. It's important to show what it used to be like, how good it used to be. So there's a flashback sequence where they're having fun together, and then a crime happens that requires Chelsin's help. You're going to see him meet Salamandroid for the first time, which is weird. I had Salamandroid and Cyberfrog in the same books in the 1990s, but a kid wrote to me, a little kid. He said, I read warts and all. How come Cyberfrog never meets Salamandroid? And I said, I don't know. I forgot to do that. That's so funny. I completely forgot to do that. He was always kind of running around in the background, but I don't think he ever officially met Cyberfrog in the books. So I'm going to show how that happened in Cyberfrog 3. And I think it's relevant to, when you see like how far they've fallen, it's like, this is how it used to be. And it just feels good. I mean, the 90s stuff, the 90s to me represented the best era of comics.
Right.
At least in my lifetime. They built off of the magic of the late 80s, where, John Byrne and Man of Steel, and then all of the great Batman stuff, Killing Joke, Dark Knight, just led to this amazing period of prosperity in the 90s. When it was creatively free and everybody was making money, and I really liked it. I liked the 90s. So that's Cyberfrog in the 90s represents that time period, and it is fun to kind of look back.
Yes, absolutely. So maybe we will get a little something. Lily and Frog, that story in Rex Planet, I thought was so cute because it had kind of her story, or like a style as if she were drawing it out, and it was really cute. I could see her just kind of doing more adventures like that. So we have, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this, Ragfire. They want to know if there will be a second printing of Warts and All.
Yeah, there has to be, but I haven't decided how I'm going to do it. It's expensive to print those books, so I think what I'm going to do is just wait a year, maybe, or two, and just let the secondary market do their thing. If you were fortunate enough to grab a $30 soft cover, I just saw that they're selling for like twice that now,
Jeez.
3 times that on the. So I'm going to let people sell theirs and maybe make a little bit of money on that if they want to. And then I will figure out maybe with a new cover, maybe with some new material in it. We'll go ahead and we'll reprint. We'll do a second printing of Warts and All. I think maybe next year. We got to crowdfund everything. You know, it's like the problem is, it's like when you have to crowdfund every single thing, like a big book like that, a big project. I've got so many things that I want to do this year. David Williams just turned in another page of Fearsome. He's 14 pages into it. Like the book is very close to being done. It's so good. Eventually, I have to crowdfund that and launch that book. I've got Heather Swain, Earth is for Everyone. I've got Dale Keown turning in pages on Salamandroid #1. I've really got a lot, and so it's like I got to crowdfund all these things. I don't want to have a crowdfund every single month. I've got to kind of be selective and maybe do one a season, something like that. And so
wallets need a chance to breathe too. So.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I remember I would just kind of say this year I'm going to only put out this book and maybe this extra thing over here. So in order to collect everything that All Caps Comics is doing this year, just basic perks, it's going to cost you $160. I used to be able to say that. And now it's like what's happening to the market. It seems like there's going to be more pressure to put out more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite happy sitting down and just saying, I'm going to do a Cyberfrog book every year, every 2 years, 3 years, Wreck Planet took. And just that's the way it's going to be. But it seems like that's not going to make people happy for very much longer. So we're going to have to produce more things quicker and put out more books more frequently.
Do you see yourself kind of bringing on more people like David Williams to kind of help with that?
Yeah. But I sometimes artists, like great artists, make themselves available. I don't want to go, we got Elephant too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Elephant is like, I should mention that. Those guys are cooking. Those guys are cooking with gas. They're doing incredible work on Elephant. I just saw a couple pages today. I think so. When really good artists and talented creators make themselves available to you, that's the time to create a project, I think. Rather than the other way around. Like I have a project and now I got to do a talent search. I don't want to do a talent search. It's just the idea that like Dale Keown says, I'd love to draw something. And it's like, I'll write something for you.
Yeah. You have to jump on that when you have somebody of that caliber for sure. You touched on crowdfunding, and I know kind of that circles around to the controversy that's going on and everything. And some people want, to have the books done and ready to go, and sort of like the Eric July model with ISOM. And you are touting the importance of crowdfunding because, it allows the little guy to be able to produce comics or whatever they want to produce. And if they don't have the money standing by to go ahead and do that on their own, it allows the little guy to be able to do that. So, did you want to talk about that a little bit and how you're trying to champion that?
Here's the thing about crowdfunding that can't be beat. First of all, anybody can do it. Anybody who has an idea can offer it. It's very democratic to the people. Are you going to let me make this? Or are you not going to let me make this? For somebody like me, I'm pretty sure that, my audience is going to let me make whatever I want, right? But it's just like a degree. To what degree are they going to allow that? Cyberfrog 3, they've given me close to $600,000, and I'm sure it's going to be more than that to make a great product that looks like Cyberfrog 2. Is it going to be the same when I offer Elephant? I don't really know. I don't know what Elephant's going to look like. I don't know how much funding I'm going to get for it. It's a different project, right? But they're going to determine how beautiful that book is. I mean, the story and art is going to look great, but the production of it is going to be determined by how well it's funded. And that's unique. That is amazing. So not only that, I'm going to know how many I need to print. I'm going to know, I'm going to be able to create stretch goals. If people want Elephant trading cards, whatever it is, I'll be able to create more incentives and things based on funding. Eric July's model is admirable in a lot of ways because, the books are ready to go. But where I think ours is superior as a business model is we have exacting numbers. We know exactly how many sales that we have before we even go to print, how many books we need to make. And there isn't excess spending. There's no leftovers unless we want there to. I always make leftovers. I make extra ones, obviously. But not only that, like people get involved and they make the product better. They make the actual product of the book better by getting involved.
Right.
And I think that's great. I think it's so much fun. I understand the seductiveness of, having the books ready to go. I understand I don't want to wait for it and things like that. But I still think crowdfunding is far superior for so many reasons.
Absolutely. Like in a way, I guess it's kind of like the stock market, when a company goes and tries to get the funding and everything to build and grow. I mean, I can understand that people want things instantly. That's kind of how society has become. You want it now and consume. But there is something to be said. I know you kind of took a little bit of a beating for the lateness of Wrecked Planet. But my God, when I got the copy in the mail, it was just, it's beautiful. It is literally a work of art. And you could tell that you put, the time and the love into it. I know you said you kind of felt like you took a little too much on, put a little too much on your plate, so to speak, while you were trying to get
I should not have funded Rainbow the Brute so early. I really shouldn't have. I think that was a mistake. I just figured, well, I'll bang out these 48 pages of Wrecked Planet, and that's going to be it. Let me get Rainbow the Brute going too. I didn't need to do that, and obviously, I think it stressed out a lot of my customers. I'm grateful that they still funded it. And they're still funding it now. It's getting more backers, especially as I show pages for this extraordinary comic book. But yeah, I think that was a misstep. It's I can't even overstate how grateful I am that people allow me to do what I'm doing right now. Story is everything to me. These comic books are important. Wrecked Planet, I bled into it. I mean. I really, really felt every moment of it. And I think it's the best book that I've ever done. I think the writing is great. I'm really proud of myself for it. And I think Rainbow the Brute is going to be just as good, but different. Very funny.
Right. I dig it because, an 80s kid, all those properties, I remember them. I remember playing with them. And I was going to ask you about that because your take with Rainbow the Brute is like a little boy goes into his girl's room and just starts, playing with all of her stuff, going like all commando G.I. Joe on it. Is this going to be like a one and done, or do you see this as a series? Like, could we possibly see him later on bringing in the boy assets like Thundercats and He-Man and stuff in a part 2?
No, part 2. There is a part 2, but we're going to race swap him. He's going to be Black Rainbow. Yeah. Black Rainbow. We could do a number 2. We could kind of do a second issue of Rainbow the Brute. It's possible. This is a one and done though. Like it is kind of like, just meant to be a boyhood fantasy for a second and then kind of moving on. But I really love the characters. Rainbow the Brute makes me laugh. I had to talk to my wife about it because I had I was like, so I don't know how violent this book is supposed to be. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, does Rainbow the Brute has a sword? Does he stab people? Does he cut people in half? And she's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think he does. Like, I think he's a wrestler. I think when boys play with action figures, they kind of, do this and stuff.
Right.
I don't think because I was sitting there like, do these characters bleed? It's like, I don't think they do. So there's going to be, the great thing is I think the book is going to be kind of very violent, but suitable for kids at the same time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rainbow the Brute behaves like a pro wrestler when he fights, and there's a lot of kind of what looks like kayfabe, but it's real.
Maybe it could be like the first Ninja Turtle movie, like they had their weapons, but you never saw them stab
Well, they're
anybody or
toys. Like that's the problem
yeah.
is that it's like I said, if Rainbow the Brute were to use his sword on one of the unbearables, I think stuffing would come out,
Yeah,
not
I can
blood.
see that.
So that might be funny, but it's also so sad. It's like I don't know. It'd be so sad to see one of them kind of get. I mean, they're idiots, but I feel bad for them. I don't want to see them really, truly get hurt. And when I was drawing the unbearables way back, in 2018, 2019 on the channel, creating the story, I did these videos where I was like making it up as I went. Rainbow the Brute just like broke his stool over the, one of the unbearables' heads, and he just has like a band-aid on his face, and his tongue's hanging out, and he's just like, you lack empathy. Like like I think that's what he does. I think there's a lot of I want to keep everything I want to keep everything that's for the all caps line mostly okay for like young people like 12 and up, so anyway.
So no Omega Storm kind of stuff in
No,
Rainbow
I
the
mean,
Brute.
and that's really cool. See, this is the thing, like, John Malin doing over the top like grindhouse like superhero shit is amazing. We have like creative freedom, the likes of which I don't think has been seen before. And John taking that to the limit and saying, I'm going to do stuff that you would never see in any superhero comic. Rob Liefeld meets like Quentin Tarantino's like grindhouse stuff.
I
great.
literally said "holy" out loud like several times, and the ending, I was just like, "This isn't going to go there, is it? Oh no, it's going there." Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I won't
see,
spoil it for anybody.
he gets to do that, and that's what's so great about it. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, for me, I've got another label called Comicsgate Arena. And in Comicsgate Arena, we did his book Black Riding Hood. We printed that there, and it of course it contains like the slang version of the N-word. We played that up quite a bit, but it's just the soft A version of that, which again is not something that you're going to see in Marvel and DC books. So it's special by itself. It's John's authentic, urban dialogue.
I had fun reading that one. That was great. Did my my live reading of it.
Amazing. People really enjoyed it and had fun. Again, that's the spirit of Comicsgate. Just getting to do whatever we want to do. Elephant is going to be printed as a Comicsgate Arena book because it's going to have like explicit gore scenes, and I think I'm going to put the F word in there. So, I'm not putting it in there. The writer is, but he's free to do anything. I'm not at the point where I'm ready to put nudity in there. I think there's something weird about putting like nudity in a kind of a superhero book. It doesn't feel right to me. It feels a little bit slimy, but that's my opinion. Those are my lines.
Right. And there's something for everybody. So
somebody else could do it. Like John Malin could do a book with the nudity, or somebody could even do like a sex book if they wanted to do it. I mean, there are no restrictions really. And I think that's cool. I think that's healthy for creative people.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about creating, how did you come up with the Vespis? I know you said you wanted to make Cyberfrog kind of like have it be a pushback against kind of like all the nastiness that we've been seeing from social justice warriors and activists and everything in our culture. And so you mentioned that the Vespis, I guess, were supposed to represent the nasty, just disgusting, vile, I guess, nature of social justice warriors. Like, how did you come up with that?
Well, initially, like in the 90s books, especially in Reservoir Frog, Cyberfrog and Heather are talking about an incoming swarm. And I didn't really know what that meant. I was making it up as I went along. But you see them in their like burned out building, like the swarm is coming. And I didn't really know. I thought that would just be like Rumblebee and his friends. But we never really got to see it, like not really, in Reservoir Frog. We just kind of, it was just hinted at. And then in 2010, when Jim Lee said, we'll publish Cyberfrog, A Return of Cyberfrog, I did call it Blood Honey. And I had this idea that there were alien bees that were going to, just like what you see, that we're going to harvest human blood and feed their young. And I wrote a treatment. I found the treatment in my email. I'm going to print it.
Nice.
I might have somebody draw it like an alternate reality version of Cyberfrog. Because I wrote like a whole script for like blood honey that is completely different from, what ended up seeing print. But when I realized I was doing this and I brought Blood Honey as the title, I came up with this invasion of the Vespis, and it was subconscious. I realized what I was writing when I was halfway through, working on Cyberfrog Blood Honey. I realized it was an allegory, it was autobiographical, and it had a lot to do with how I felt about the culture and how it was being defaced, defiled, and how we allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we were willing to let it happen for some reason. So that's where the Vespis came from. And then I just had this idea. I knew Cyberfrog was going to have to communicate with them because he has to negotiate with them all through the series. I mean, it's the way it's got to be. And then I realized they were highly intelligent, and the conversations that I was seeing on Twitter with SJWs were so goddamn annoying. They were super annoying and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I started collecting them. I started taking screenshots of some of the worst things that these people were saying and reimagining them as dialogue, the way that these Vespis talk. They're effeminate, they're snarky, they're merciless, they're unkind. They're all of the worst qualities of social justice warriors. That's how they sound. And when
what's their end goal? Like, if they do conquer the universe, what then?
Survival, just like anyone.
Just be miserable in their.
They're quite happy. They're not miserable. They're happy. They're sadistic, and they came to Earth because Earth has a very oxygen-rich atmosphere, and that would be good for them. It's great for insects to be around a lot of oxygen, and they are kind of insect-like. So. They came here because they were failing. They were going to from world to world, just dying out, essentially conquering, and they have to move on. So they come to Earth, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's like the atmosphere is rich with oxygen. There's plenty of food for them. And, here we are in Wreck Planet, as one of them says, it's like, I'm a native-born American. I mean, a native-born Earthling, not American, too.
Yeah.
I'm a native-born Earthling, 2 generations. My father was born here. I was born here. This planet is mine. So you can't tell. And that's absolutely true. From their perspective, they're an invading force that conquered Earth, and therefore the planet belongs to the Vespis. And fighting to take it back is pretty audacious and ballsy of what's left of the humans, who are no longer the apex predators, and hunted to near extinction, farmed. It's a precarious situation for them. And Cyberfrog knows that he's got what it takes to turn them back, and he does. And I can't wait to show people what that is. A lot of guesses that it's going to be a big gun. No. I mean, well, that too. He does have big guns. But
we got to see him, tech out once he's, connected fully back with Chelsen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've already placed a couple of hints in Wreck Planet about what the answer is, and they're really subtle. And nobody's picked up on them yet, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of like, and I don't want to spoil it. Hopefully, everyone has their copies, but I kind of like how everyone thinks they're safe wearing red, right? And staying in the trees. And then you kind of reveal, well, it's not, bread's not everything it's cracked up to be by the end of Wrecked Planet. So,
we'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, remember that the Vespis always lie. Lie. So that's one thing that, Scorpions, it's all connected. Understand that, the whole thing is about family. And everybody who came from Cyberfrog's world, including Scorpion, Mr. Blue, Spite, Device, all these characters, they're all related to Cyberfrog by blood, I guess.
Hey,
so they know some things that he doesn't quite know yet and understand about them. And they're going to educate him along the way, even though they're enemies of his, even though they have different goals than he does. they still have this common enemy. So I'm very excited about Cyberfrog 3. It's going to be
Oh my
great. There's
God.
a whole bunch of revelations. Salamandroid 2, Poison Pack, tons of like information. And all of this stuff already exists. You know, the fact that it's kind of like following a train of history, like, you know, I can't really change anything about it because it's based on stuff that actually happened, you know. So almost every one of the characters represents either a real person or something, you know, an element of my experience in comics. So once you kind of know that, you can decode it and probably predict where it's going. But I haven't had anyone really effectively do that yet.
I'm gonna have to go back again with a fine tooth comb. I just went and reread Salamandroid's Death Sting and Heartsick Horror and the deleted scenes, and just all good stuff there. So I'm gonna have to go back again and look for more clues.
There's a lot in Heartsick Horror, a lot. That is especially the story that EJ drew. I mean, there's just a lot of answers in there. Yeah.
All right. There you go. Everyone, start reading that again. That'll be your homework. So Cyberfrog for you is meant to be kind of like your positive influence on culture. And I guess with Comicsgate too, I know there's like some confusion, you know, talking about gatekeeping and this and that. And Comicsgate is supposed to be a, you know, people keep saying that it's not political. I mean, it's a customer movement where the customer is treated with respect, but I think you've been driving home the point that that we're just trying to keep the destructive politics out, like the social justice politics out. I mean, can you elaborate more for people who aren't really clear as to what Comicsgate really is?
When Comicsgate comes forward and says, hey, there are social justice warriors that are changing the comic books and using them as a political platform, and we want that to stop, and we represent a movement of people who want that to change. Comicsgate's a political movement. That's a political idea right there. That is a political agenda to stop SJWs from putting their politics in the. It doesn't mean that we have a set of politics of our own, but just saying that can't happen anymore is a political statement. So we are a political movement, no matter what, based on consumer demands. And at the same time, what we're hoping for is that politics no longer rule the mainstream. Left-wing politics no longer rule the mainstream comic book industry. There's some confusion about it. People say there shouldn't be any politics in comics at all. I don't know who started saying that, but that can't possibly be true. Every comic book has some measure of the writer's political ideas in it. The problem is with the current left, the people who are writing these stories today, is that's all they have. I mean, all they're offering is a political lecture. They're doing it instead of a story. And Cyberfrog, of course, is a very political comic book because it's talking about those ideas that I just said. It's comparing cultural Marxism to an alien scourge. Like that's a political statement there. That's a real fucking political statement. There's no way around that. So I do feel like Comicsgate is a political movement. I think when we deny that, it's easy to kind of shut us up by saying, so what do you stand for? Well, we don't want politics in the stead of a story. That's a political statement, no matter what. We should be able to do whatever we want. One thing that shouldn't happen is there shouldn't be political discrimination in comics. And at the same time, there's one group of people who exist. That's their sole purpose, and to create gatekeeping, to discriminate against people for their politics, because what their goals are is to replace art with propaganda. So it's a real interesting thing. We're saying no political discrimination. We're against that, and yet we can't abide SJWs. Why? Because their entire purpose is political discrimination. Therefore, Comicsgate is an anti-SJW movement. And we must gatekeep them. We can't allow them in. When we allow SJWs in, we've defeated our own purpose. They're going to eventually rot our movement from the inside and eventually make it so that we don't have our creative freedom anymore and that there is nothing but political discrimination. So it's complicated, but it's not complicated. It's people, it's mostly just, if you understand that Comicsgate is saying what our purpose is to restore comic books to a state of creative freedom, and therefore SJWs and people who disagree with that, activists for the left, must be gatekept. It's fairly simple,
Right. And it's interesting too, because the comic sales have been down, like in the mainstream with the big two. And they just had, I think Shane showed yesterday when he was filling in for you yesterday with Comicsgate Kings, how the Thundercats just had a huge push in sales for like number one. I was like, yeah, if you give people something that they're interested in, that isn't, like a race swap or, a message in your face. And, people want fun. People want that excitement.
Well, it also identifies who the audience for comics is, are comic books, because who knows about Thundercats? 50-year-old men and people of our age. Like, we were kids when Thundercats was popular. Kids these days don't know Thundercats. They don't know who Thundercats is. So when you put out a Thundercats book and you make it look good and then you sell it to guys in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you've identified the market. That's who is buying our comic books right now. That's who's buying mainstream comic books. People who were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 when Thundercats and Transformers and G.I. Joe were on TV. And if you cater to that market, you're going to have the best results.
Yeah, I missed that era. It was great. I look at the stuff that kids watch today and it's I don't get it. That Cal Art's kind of just crazy, makes no sense, jumping everywhere. I don't know. Give me Thundercats, give me She-Ra, give me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm watching Paw Patrol. I think Paw Patrol,
Really?
yeah, I think the kids have some good superhero shows. Paw Patrol is one of them. Even though they're dogs, it is a great superhero show. With has there been social justice? Maybe one instance where some pervert came in and put a non-binary character in there, but for the most part, Paw Patrol has been pretty clean and has had some good messaging. I like it.
Yeah, I remember you saw the latest Paw Patrol movie, I guess, with your daughter, and you gave it some pretty favorable reviews. So that's nice. You posted today that she was asking about going to Disneyland, and that I was just like, oh my God, because I know it's a matter of principle.
Yeah,
I know.
And people are like, take her to Universal. I'm like, no. She has autism. She knows the difference. She wants to go to Disney World. And I said, she took me by the face and she was just like, Daddy, I want to go to Disneyland. She said, she doesn't know the difference.
Right.
And we would be going to Disney World in Florida. I'm not flying her out to California. That's crazy. Disney World is fine. And I just looked at her and said, we're not going to go to Disney World. Daddy doesn't like Disney. And she didn't listen to a word I said. She just said, Daddy, I want to go to Disneyland. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to break my boycott of Disney. And people are like, well, Disney sucks. Well, I mean, I still like it. I mean, I would be enjoying Disney and Star Wars as much as I ever did if it wasn't for the fact that, they have engaged in activist politics, of the left-wing variety, and they canceled Gina Carano. Those are the two reasons why I am not enjoying Disney right now and making Star Wars videos.
I agree. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, they did kind of kill Star Wars for me when I saw The Last Jedi. I remember leaving that and just feeling just deflated and gross. And I couldn't process everything. I just saw a Star Wars film and it just felt like I hadn't seen Star Wars. So, everything that Disney's been doing, getting involved politically, it's very disheartening. I've seen all my favorite franchises have been decimated by all of that political messaging. And I don't know. I mean, I know that they get the funding through the ESG, but I don't know if they'll ever get it. And we could just get back to good programming when, if they see the numbers go down, the ratings go down, shows continue to get canceled, the movies continue to flop when they're released. I mean, will they eventually get it, or are they just comfortable to get, to take the money from the ESG? I don't know.
Well, I mean, they didn't create any of this stuff, so they don't care. I mean, that's all it comes down to. Star Wars is not run by George Lucas anymore. It's run by, Pablo Hidalgo and Kathleen Kennedy. Like they don't care. It doesn't belong to them. It wasn't created by them. They don't really cherish it the same way. All of these genius creators have moved on, passed away, sold. You'll notice the Harry Potter movies were good.
That's a good point. Yeah, the Harry Potter movies were great.
So, that's because J.K. Rowling was there and was able to overlook and oversee. But once J.K. Rowling dies and some big corporation owns Harry Potter, some big parent company, you're going to see it's going to turn to woke shit like that. And that's the way it goes. So, instead of pining over, these things that we loved when they were alive, and now, of course, they're just puppets. They're not
Right.
They're not the real thing. We need to create new stuff, and then not sell it, and hold on to it as long as we can, so that it has a lifespan before it becomes perverted and owned by a corporation. It's never going to be the same again. You're never going to get Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. Or any of these things back to the way they were, because they couldn't be. The heart and soul of some of these properties it's moved on, and that's it. I mean, they might make some decent Star Wars things now and then, but it's not going to be.
Its time
the same.
has come and gone.
Yeah, we have to just accept that and keep trying to make new stuff.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for Comicsgate and all the great things that you produce, Shane, John, all the indie smaller indie creators. It just I picked this up the other day. I made a post about it. This was one that unfortunately,
that guy's a hero. That guy is a hero. I love that guy. I didn't buy his book yet, but I will buy his book. He is what a guy. See, I mean, he is the exact type of person that I was just talking about, where it's like somebody comes in, some big organization, and wants to throw money at him to sort of own a piece of his soul in some way. And he said, no.
Right.
He said, take your money back. I don't need it. And I resent being talked to that way. That guy is a hero, and I hope that book is good. I might read it and then think about reviewing it and giving it.
I enjoyed it. I might do a little review on it myself. It creates this whole world and introduces like these different type of beings and people, and the art. I love Jose Garcia's art. There were a couple sequences where I was trying to figure out, decipher how the action was going. But I love his style. And I think that the story definitely has.
He's got a lot of talent, and he's one of these guys who, it's like this is like we need to work with him so that those of us who have worked in comics professionally can sort of hone his talent a little bit. I mean, there's so much that we need to be doing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Something like that would be great, because I mean, Jose is going to make independent comics. He needs a little bit of guidance, and he needs a little criticism so that he can reach his full potential. It's not going to be from me, but John Malin. What's wrong with him? Why won't he do it? Where are you, John?
I love. Yeah, where's John? Where is John Malin? I love this style. It feels like you're watching some sort of animated show when you're reading this. But yeah, definitely can see him growing and just really honing those skills. He did I think the third Graveyard Shift book. And I respected the style. I don't know if it fit exactly in with the rest of the
we should
Graveyard Shift thing.
He was not meant to draw that comic. Like Jose Garcia needs to be doing his own thing. He needs to have his own idea, and he needs to be doing his own thing. Working for other people might not be the best thing for him. I know the money is quick to do work for hire, but what is it that he sees? What is it that he wants to do? I would ask him, and then move forward that way. We can support him when he's got his own ideas and drawing from his own imagination.
Exactly. And again, it touches on or goes back to how you were talking about owning your own IP, having it be yours, and then you have complete freedom to do what you want to do with it. So I have really, really been enjoying the like the brutally honest reviews, and I've seen a few people since Mike Barron, and I loved your review of Bronze Star. I got the kind of the artist edition where it just has the line art, it's not colored, and the details in that are just out of this world. Pat Broderick is, holy crap, like next level. But are you going to continue to do these brutally honest reviews? Can a smaller creator, if they have the cojones, reach out to you and have you just go through with your pencil of scorn?
Enough people hate me already. I don't, the thing about it is that when I say a brutally honest review, like I mean it. Like I would only be working in service of the audience. I would not be working in service of the creator. I would be not mindful of his feelings at all. And that would be the only way that something like that would be valuable. And it's going to make a lot of people hate me. So a lot of creative people hate me. So I'm not thrilled about the whole idea. Like with Eric July stuff, I don't care if that dude hates me or not. So I'll go ahead and tee off on his books, and it's fun. But Mike Barron was risky because I really like Mike, and he said he was funny. Like he said, brutally honest review Bronze Star. I said, Mike, you want in private, he said this. I was like, you want me to be brutally honest about Bronze Star? He said, maybe not. And I said, no, I'm going to do it now, sucker. And he was just like, okay, do it, like that. And I was really scared because I like read it and I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I liked his other two books, but I didn't love them. And I would have given them middling reviews. And then I settled in and read this, and this was his voice. Like it was a really authentic experience. And Pat Broderick is
whoa.
So he reached out to me after the review and thanked me, and I just was like, sir, I said, what are you working on now? We have to keep you working. He said, I'm working on Bronze Star too. And he showed me some pages from it, which
excellent.
They look great. He said, I just turned 70. You wanted to know how old I was. I just said, I said, I'm about to turn 50. And I really hope that I have 20 years of working in my prime the way that you are. You're better than ever. And he was grateful. We just had a nice conversation. But like it's fun when something like that happens, and you really get to report on something that's good. It feels good, and I'd like to do that a little bit more if possible. I'll tee off on some bad comics. We're doing Mike Miller's Lone Star this Friday, which is I know I've already read it. It's terrible, so I'm looking forward to that.
I have some copies if anybody wants some.
Yeah, I have a few with my characters on them. Thanks, Mike. I will. I'll be reviewing that, and then we'll just see what people want me to do. And I guess if people are just saying, we want more brutally honest portfolio review or brutally honest reviews, I guess I'll have to do them. We'll see how it goes.
Is your method for determining which ones you would review, is that going to be, determined by, if you reach a certain funding amount, like if people really want it?
Yeah, the audience has to shout it out and say, we want this book reviewed. And I got to recognize that I think that's a book that a lot of people would want to review it. And then I would do like a funding goal for it to make it happen. Yeah. And if we don't reach it, that's great. I don't have to review it. But if we do, I will review it, and we'll have a good time doing so. I would love to review. I'd love to review some really, really good Comicsgate projects. I'd love to review Starlight Cats, which I thought was really terrific. There's a lot of stuff. The Lucent, I would love to do. I can give good reviews to those, and it would feel good to do that. And if anybody knows like really terrible comics that have come out of this space, or maybe we just move on to do Marvel and DC stuff, which is also that it would make me happier, honestly.
Yeah, it's it's fun. It's fun. And the money that you've been raising from, the trash cast and everything, holy crap. Are you ready to get your tickets yet to the season tickets of the Phillies?
I guess I got to go to Disney World first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do that. That'll be great.
That makes a little more sense to me right now. So yeah, I told Andrea, my wife, I said, we got a plan for a Disney World trip. I showed Ava some videos about what it means to get on an airplane and to,
Oh,
to
wow.
fly. She hasn't done that yet, really, as a big kid. She did it as a baby.
Mhm.
So yeah, I gotta, having a kid with autism, you have to think through every contingency, and you have to understand, the way that autism speaks. It's different. There's no patience at all, like none. But if you can lead them along with expectations, like this is what you can expect is going to happen, as long as that thing does happen, everything should be okay.
Right. They have certain routines and things that they expect.
Oh, it's something else. Like, we'll get in the car because we're going to Walmart. We're going to Walmart, so we're in the car, back out of the driveway, and then Daddy forgot his wallet. We got to pull back into the driveway, and that's a meltdown. I don't understand why we're going this way when we should be going that way. So all of it is it's been a I love there are times where I just want to become a teacher and teach like autistic kids to draw, because I've really learned to love them and to try to understand them. And I recognize autism in adults too, which I never did before. Like, I'd be like, why is this person this way? Like, they're so stubborn and argumentative, and they don't understand what I'm saying necessarily. They're taking what I'm saying very literally. And I didn't know that was autism. I had no idea. Now I'm like arguing with somebody. I'm like, you're on the spectrum. It's
You
like
see the telltale signs.
Yeah, it makes me like them. Like, we could have a nasty argument. I go, you're on the spectrum, aren't you? What if I am? And it's like, come here, give me a hug. I like that. I'm familiar with it. It feels really nice now. So,
are you for sure going to the C2E2 convention?
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure that I'm going to that. Like, I've committed to it. Unless there's some reason that I can't go, I will be there. I think it's going to be okay. I think I'm going to be able to go. It's hard to get away. It's just hard to get away, and I got to leave Andrea home with Ava by herself. It's not nice of me to do that. But if I can come home with a big pile of cash, then
then it's worth it.
Yeah,
Disney cash, right?
Right. Daddy's working, so yeah, I think I would make money there. So that's a good reason for me to do it.
Yeah, excellent. I was actually looking. I want to go to the convention too, so I was looking at flights and hotel and all that kind of stuff. So I was a little bit nervous about Chicago. I haven't been there in over 20 years. So
C2E2 is a very big show. Last time I went, it was a tremendously huge show, and I haven't been to a big convention either since 2017. So it's been a while. But I will. I'll go. I hope to meet some friends. I hope to meet some people who are fans.
Absolutely. I know there's a ton of people, including myself, that definitely want to meet you. I was hoping we're going to be able to go to Tampa. I did the Tampa convention. But yeah, I guess
Andrea said I could go to that. She said, you can go to that. That's fine. You miss your friend. So you want to go there. You're going to miss out. And I said, I really don't feel like it's okay for me to go.
I think maybe you dodged a bullet.
Maybe things would have been better if I was there, though. Maybe things would have been different.
Yeah.
I could have been a calming influence, and maybe that would have been okay. I would not have gone to the sex dungeon. That's not something that would have happened, but it might have been
I
fun.
wasn't even aware that it was like that the castle was like that. And I used to live in Tampa, and I went there a couple times on Thursdays for 80s goth night, where they would play Depeche Mode and The Cure and stuff like that.
See, that's what I like. Yeah.
So yeah, I would go in there and I'd enjoy that and leave. I don't remember the the weird stuff going on in there. I don't know. I'm glad I dodged that bullet too.
Me too.
It's a shame all the fallout from it. I think it is what it is what it is, as some people say.
We've
but
been through this many times.
yeah.
There are people who come in here. Very frankly, I love quite a few of the people that we lost, and I really value them, and I wish that they were on my show. It doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
not Comicsgate anymore. It just means they're not going to be on my show, and people get hurt feelings and stuff, and then they move on. I wish that didn't happen. I wish there was something I could do about it. I entirely blame two individuals who I will not miss. I think those two individuals know who they are. I think that they were. I think there are people from time to time who do kind of intentionally sow discord and create disharmony. And ultimately, what I want to say to those people is, it's really good here if you can get along with enough people to feel like you have a friend group here. As a creator, it doesn't get better than this. You own your own property. We're going to help you get it funded. You're making friends.
Yeah, it's a great network.
Yeah, it really is great. And to think that you'd walk away from it because you're having an argument with somebody, or there's a miscommunication, or you have hurt feelings over something that nobody even knew, which is the case I'm going to talk about that on my show tonight. One of the people has hurt feelings about something. Nobody ever said anything like that to me. Really, it's a shame. And it's happened to so many people that, it's always kind of one road where it's like eventually it leads to not making comics anymore, which stinks. It's awful. And I want to fight and just like grab people and just be like, stay here. I will tie you to, well, that's what John does. I will handcuff you to a radiator. Stay right here. You're making a mistake.
You've seen a lot of betrayal, I guess, since I've been watching 2018, but somehow you seem to just still keep that, that positive kind of view on everything. You still have a heart, you still have compassion. And
Don't
I know
get
for a
me
while,
wrong, Abra.
yeah, I know you're ticked off.
I am filled with hatred a lot of times. Like it, right now I'm very angry, and it's like it'll take like a month or two before I'm like ready to kind of get back to, okay, let me look out there for talent and let me see if I can bring some more people in front of others. Because it does, it wears on you, and you go, everybody's ego, they don't see this for what it is. And what it is it's like, me and John and Shane and a few others who used to work for DC and Marvel, we're lending you our help and our audience and, all of these things so that you can get your comic books funded. It's like, come be a part of this, and also take some of this audience and make it your audience. Start building your own thing here, and see it for what it is. It's an amazing opportunity. And people either take it for granted, or I think they get hurt feelings and because we're all people. We're all gonna fight, and stuff like that.
Right, kind of like one big family.
I told somebody, I was talking to Liam Gray. Liam Gray's fighting with a bunch of people. They're fighting with him, and he says, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, here's one thing that you need to remember. I'm not going to get bullied out of my spot in Comicsgate. And you need to just keep that in mind. No matter who you're fighting with, understand you have a spot at the table here, and you should not get bullied out of it. Just remember that. Treasure that. Don't let somebody else take that away from you, no matter what. And he's like, it's good advice.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how everybody should be. Like, no matter who you're uncomfortable with, unhappy with, you have a spot here. Everybody loves everybody, and for the most part, don't get chased away for things that don't really matter,
Exactly. Well, I mean, my hope is that once, the dust settles and people have had a chance to like maybe cool off, that there can, some sort of an accord can be reached.
I will always be here, Abras. I'm not going anywhere. I will always be here. I will always be Comicsgate, and I will always be, I will always do my best. I'm imperfect, but I will always do my best to help people. I'm sure that, there will always be complaints and people who are unhappy with things that I've said and done. Oftentimes I don't know what anyone's talking about. Most of the time I don't know what anyone's talking about because I'm dumb.
You have your nose to the drawing board.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not fully aware of how people are feeling. That might be autism of my own. I might be a little on the spectrum, but I'm not fully aware of how everybody feels. And if I'm, ticking somebody off inadvertently, but I mean well, and I do mean what I say, and I mean to be here and help other creators to be able to create little businesses for themselves and be able to publish their comic books and get them promoted. That's important. I think it's a worthy use of my time.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, I know we hit that hour mark, and you have your show to prep for, Trash Cast. But I'm glad we got to end a little bit on the positive note about you being here. Thank you for being here on this show tonight. I really appreciate that. I hope everyone will go check out Ethan's Cyberfrog 3 Red Extermination campaign. Check out his eBay store. I put the links in the description. Please check out Rainbow the Brute and the CG Triple Threat covers too, that are part of the C2E2 convention specials. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ethan. You brought so many viewers here. I really.
How'd you do? How many were watching?
It's like over 880. So I mean, this is stellar for me. I really
everybody subscribe. Do not leave without liking and subscribing.
Please,
it doesn't cost you anything. Make sure that you do that for Abra's. And thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ethan. And thanks for everything you do for Comicsgate. I really appreciate it. So hopefully down the road we can get on again a little bit and talk about some more Cyberfrog. I really appreciate it.
Right on. All right. Should I hit the leave button or are you ending the show? How does this work?
I will go ahead and end. And can you hang out for just like 10 more seconds? Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. And please hit that like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you.
50 sets off of me. I've had enough. Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray.